Welcome back to Reconnect, a podcast where I'll be interviewing small business owners, entrepreneurs, and many more as we connect, learn, and grow together. Join us as I interview Jake Wheeler, owner of Under the Surface Records, on today's episode. Jake, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thanks for agreeing to this and having us at your shop.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Why don't you tell everybody kind of like how you got started with Under the Surface Records and bring us back to when you were younger and a dreamer and
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't know, when I was in middle school, I was doing collecting mostly video games or something like that.
Sure.
And I going into Level Up, it was cool to me. I was just like, I would love to do something like this at one point, but as time went on, things kind of changed. I was like, I'd rather do IT or whatever. So went to college for a little while at Heidelberg, and quickly found out that wasn't really for me. I changed majors 3 times, and then junior year, I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna drop out. I worked at Kroger for a while, and that's kind of when, that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can make the starting a business thing happen.
Sure.
And at that time, I was like way more into music. And although I did think that I'm just like, man, Tiffin ain't cool enough for a record store. I'm just like, no, it's just not gonna work. I was like, whatever. I'll see what I can do. So, like, as I made money, got paid from Kroger. If I had some extra, I'd just buy like extra inventory, like stuff that I set aside for inventory that wasn't part of my own personal collection.
Gotcha.
And
so you just started like making kind of your stock per se, just like slowly but surely.
So like, if I got paid like $100 or something like that, I'd spend like 90 of it, and like the 10 I'd buy, I don't know, something for cheap just to have. And I had like my parents were really nice, and they let me have like a corner and then like an extra room that I could just like throw all that junk in.
Gotcha.
But when 22 Market, a couple doors down, my parents and I were kind of a part of a little group that he got together to try and make 22 Market happen. I was still pretty skeptical about it, but they were open, and it grew, and it was going pretty good. I mean, like, after a year or so, I was like, dang, they're still around. That's awesome. And since I was buddies with Nick Consolo and Josh and everybody who was kind of a part of that, I went in there a lot, and unfortunately, like, it's a great store, but it wasn't quite for me, and they weren't scratching that itch that I think me and a lot of other people in town were looking for.
Sure.
For like the more extreme music. And I was like, well, I'll do it then. So I took the stuff that I had from Kroger, and I got a big fat tax return that year. It was like $1,300 or something like that, something ridiculous. And I was planning on buying magic cards with it, but instead I bought records for inventory.
There you go.
Blew it all on that, and I did a flea market. It went really well. I brought in like $750 like the 2 days I did the flea market.
Right.
And it just kind of took off from there. I mean, Dan from Line Drive gave me a spot in his back room. Like, I talked to him about wanting to do it before, and he was just like, oh, you should set up shop in my back room or something. I just laughed. I'm like, you kidding, right? And he's just like, no, I'm serious. I was like, what? Okay. So didn't even make me pay rent or anything. So I just said, it was like the perfect little start, right? Because I didn't have anything. I couldn't really afford rent at the time.
Yeah.
So I was able to do that, and grew from there. Josh told me about this spot and moved in here, and it's been just up and up and up ever since.
And how long ago was that when you moved into
here?
To here, yeah.
It was 2 years ago in September, if I remember. Like, I think it was like September 16th or something like that.
Like the day after my birthday.
Really? Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because I was only in Line Drive for a couple of months. I started July 15th. A couple years ago, and then in September I moved in here, so it was able to grow kind of fast.
So we kind of have like a theme going on, like pretty much a lot of the people that we've interviewed so far have started kind of like right around the COVID time. So like,
Yeah.
did you have any issues with the pandemic or anything like that?
No,
with the
thankfully.
store?
Yeah, because I mean, I started after all of the like restrictions and shutdowns kind of got lifted,
Okay,
and
gotcha.
I mean, I was kind of nervous that might start up again, but it
Right.
never did. So I was pretty lucky in that respect.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, for sure. Hell yeah. So what is, I guess, like your, like your long-term plan or your idea per se with like Under the Surface
Sure.
Records and everything? You like, obviously we talked about like this isn't like your forever location
Yeah.
either. You want to be closer to downtown, but then
Yeah.
you had some other cool ideas that you mind sharing with everybody, like what we talked
Yeah,
about.
of course. I mean, well, really, like starting this, it was more. I really wanted a venue, but the thing about running a venue is that unless you're able to get like big bands consistently, the venue isn't really paying the bills,
Sure.
right?
Right.
So most of the time there's another thing that's actually bringing in the money. So like, a bar will have bands play, but the alcohol sales are making the money.
Right.
So my thing was just like, well, the record store will bring in the money, and I'll just be able to have bands play.
Yeah.
So the final vision for this is I'm going to have a space big enough, or either big enough, or maybe it'll be like like a kind of like a double spot, something like that.
Sure.
And half of it will be the record store, and the other half will be sort of like a small venue, just to well, I wanted to grow a community, sort of a thing. So
Right.
like when I was in high school, music. I really fell into music, and it was really important to me. I made like a ton of friends from out of the city, out of the state.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, just like going to shows every day. Like it was kind of ridiculous. My parents were super supportive. They're just like, as long as you go to school tomorrow, you can go, sort of a thing.
Hell yeah.
So just doing all that, it was amazing. That, and hearing about all of the bands previous to when I was in high school. So like all the Tiffin core stuff. So like It Ends Here, Holy Heart Failure, Killer Cadogan, all that stuff. And then a little bit later, like Sarah Stain and all them. Seeing that and just wanting it to really continue, like be more consistent, I guess. So having a venue that is easily accessible for high school kids to get into, because I wouldn't be selling alcohol there. It'd just be a place for bands to play, sort of a thing. High school easy access for high school kids to get into might make it more realistic for them to make bands and then like kind of keep it going, sort of a thing, if they have like a hometown spot.
Right, for sure. And there's really not like a indoor venue per se, like I don't want to even call like Ritz a concert venue. Like they do a lot of stuff there. They do concerts there, but not like
not
a consistent venue spot in town where people can every single weekend have a show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I know the Viaduct has shows sometimes, but it's not an every weekend thing.
Right.
You're able to rent out the ballroom of the Elks, but it's really big. So if you want a more like intimate show, or like a spot for local bands to play, it feels empty if you book there, sort of a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So I kind of wanted a more kind of small, like intimate space, sort of thing, like a do-it-yourself type of thing.
Yeah, and that will that you mentioned like noticing a need in the community, and then like trying to, through your record store, like helping support that need, and like
for sure,
getting people back into like music, and like you said, like keeping it more consistent through Tiffin, because you said like there would be 3 bands, and then like 1 band, and then no band, and then like a few years later someone else will like come around, and start a new band. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like, geez, I mean, I don't know the whole timeline, because I wasn't even really aware of it back then, but yeah, there was like 5 bands or something in like the early 2000s, and then I didn't really hear about anything until more like the 2010s, sort of a thing. There were a few doing their thing there, and then again there was kind of like a lull, and then when I was in high school, more like 2015, 2016 is when my friends and I were starting to do stuff. But after that, in Tiffin, there's a death metal band, Dissected, where got the hoodie on, and then a hardcore band called Open Wound that are still going. But other than that, there's been a couple of projects, but they haven't really been haven't really been doing anything
Gotcha.
as of recently. So,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I want to see young kids doing stuff again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And like too, like we have 2 colleges in town
Right.
that like both have great music programs, and
Yeah,
it's
for
like,
sure. There's
you
like,
know,
yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of TU kids who come in here, Henry and Eric, I believe his name is, and they're talking about like, oh, we're doing some like super weird like progressive like noise thing. I'm just like, put it out, like
Yeah.
let me, I want to hear it, sort of a thing. And well, geez, there's Andrew Ospina, Oz, he goes by. I think he works at the Clover Club now. He has
gotcha.
this like super like shoegazy like post-hardcore thing going on. He released a track called Willow and Oak, and it's phenomenal. And I was bugging him a while ago about when the rest of the album's coming out. So I don't know. I'm hoping that he's gonna put that out, and hopefully he's able to put like a full band together and you can play live shows and stuff like that. I'd be super stoked.
Nice. And that's another thing too, like you like have some like local artists, if they do have like a record or something, that you'll like have it in the store and like promote it for them and stuff like that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I wanted to make it like one of the hardest things it seems for bands to do is put their music out physically.
Gotcha.
Because I remember being in high school, Open Wound, I was friends with all those guys, and they wanted to put their EP on tape, and they knew a guy. They went through him. They ended up getting ripped off. Like they gave him a bunch of money to get the thing going. He just took their money and ran, sort of a thing.
Oh, God.
And it wasn't like the label that the guy ran at that point put out several releases, so it seemed legit,
so it seemed legit,
right? And like we knew people in the bands that did it, and it went fine for them.
Right.
But this, for whatever reason, for them, he just like dipped. So
like it's my last one, I'm out.
Yeah, basically. So like that happened, and it's hard for people to really figure out how to do it themselves, sort of a thing. Like you could,
for sure,
you could do it yourself, but it's like really time intensive and it's really annoying. So I decided that I was just going to do it for people, sort of a thing.
Sure.
Make it a little easier for them, because if you take one of the steps and kind of just do it for someone, they're more likely to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like, oh, we want to start a band, but like, I don't know.
You have this roadblock.
Like,
we
want to be able to put I don't even know how to put our stuff out in like tape or CD or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I'll do it for you. Like, don't even worry about it. So it kind of like forces.
Just like start. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, just make music and then I'll worry about
and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I've put out 2 releases so far. Calamus, which is a local artist from here who does kind of like a dark ambient sort of a thing. And then my second one that I just dropped on the 1st, Wes Gibson, solo, kind of more instrumental stuff. Some of his songs have vocals, not all of them, and it's kind of like easy core pop punk sort of a thing. And
for sure.
Yeah, Reagan Brooks, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's putting some tracks together for the podcast.
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably actually nail it down this week. I think we'll see him coming up on Thursday, and we'll go over what he created for us.
Awesome.
And hell, maybe he'll even be ready to add it into the podcast with you. That'd be actually pretty dope too. We came to you and we were like, hey, what's a good local artist to make, a soundtrack for us for like an opening and a closing? And you were like, I know the perfect match for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, like, I know a few artists here in town, but like, I think Reagan was a good choice because he, a lot of his songs are kind of more upbeat sort of a thing. Like the other artists I know make very kind of like sad music sort of a thing, which is good, but it wouldn't really fit I don't think that would.
The positivity, reconnect the community vibes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, he gave us a really good like a pop punk, intro.
Yep.
And like a little hardcore like ending, closing, but yeah, for sure it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
So I appreciate you guys, making that connection and
of course
and everything for us, and
because
it goes a long way too.
Yeah, because really I just want I want to help support local artists
right.
and create that like music community in town that like exists, but I want it to be stronger and bigger sort of a thing.
Right. And then you mentioned like long term, like building kind of like what we're doing with Reconnect, right? Just like building that community and like giving people the opportunity to tell the world pretty much, like granted it's a little different, but like
Yeah.
you're putting it out on the internet for everybody to like see. And, you do a great job with like your records and stuff like that too on your videos and on your social media. And then you have like old collections of the shirts and, DVDs and cassette tapes. And it's just like so cool to have, 2 stores technically in town that like, we didn't even have records growing up. Like they're obviously there, but like they gave us like cassette tapes and then CDs and then everything just went digital.
Yeah.
And it's like to see more recently, the few years of like stuff coming back and becoming like more popular and stuff like that. It's just kind of like cool to see.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I think, cause I'm 24. When I was in high school, I really started to notice people paying attention to records again, sort of a thing. Like I always pay attention because my dad had like a really big collection.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah. But like, just being in class and people talking about like, oh, I'm gonna buy the new Neck Deep record or something like that. And I was just like, people care about records again,
right?
It's cool, and I mean, it works out for me since I sell them. But yeah, it's really interesting the way that's kind of gone, especially that listening to people like my dad who are kind of older and were around when like that is how you bought music and that's how you listened to it.
Right.
Hearing that records now are kind of more of a collectible than anything.
Sure.
So it's not really about, I mean, for some people, I'm not going to say for all people, because me, I buy it because I like listening to music that way. But I think more younger kids, it's more the aesthetic sort of a thing. And I think a lot of people treat it more as a collectible, like, kind of like baseball cards or something like that. For sure. So you're seeing like super crazy prices right now. I mean, granted, everything collectible wise kind of went up during COVID because everyone got those stimmies. And just, like, it was that was a wild time.
Right.
I remember looking for stuff for my own collection, and like I was like, oh, I'll buy this T-shirt. Like, I'll bid like $150 or something like that, and just watching it sell for $5, I'm just like, like, I never mind, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'm not spending that much money on that.
Well, too, you have to think of like the resale value too. Like if you're the owner of the store buying it to sell it in the store. Yeah. Like
yeah, it was
versus like someone who wants it, like a collector or something like that.
Yeah.
That's going out and like buying it for themselves.
Yeah.
Will like spend a little bit more money on it.
Yeah, it's just wild because like my dad will talk about like collecting like records in like 90s, early 2000s and stuff like that. Kind of like post like with cassettes and CDs kind of being the mainstream thing.
Sure.
Just like finding decent records for like $5 or something, like $5-10. It wasn't too bad. But now it's like anything anybody wants, it's like at least $20 as long as it exists, sort of a thing. Yeah. Like even super beat up records are worth a lot of money now. It's wild. Like I have a Pink Floyd The Wall record, and it came in with a collection, and it's like super dirty. Like the cover's supposed to be white, it's all yellow. Oh, yeah. Like the vinyl in is like super scratched up. It doesn't skip, but like when you play it, you hear all that surface noise.
Sure.
And I look it up, and people are saying like it's worth like $20. I'm like, there's no way. Like, I don't want to charge that money for that. Yeah. I look a little harder, and someone sold a copy of The Wall, but it had no cover, and it was a 2 LP release, and it was only sides 3 and 4, so it only had one record and no cover, and they sold it for $8. Wow. And I was like, oh, so I guess my super beat up copy, but it has everything, right, is worth $20. So it's just like, I guess it feels weird that.
Sure. Yeah. So you must have to like do a bit of research on like each of your records, and
100%.
Like on how to price it, and like you're not gouging people or something, or like even undervaluing it also.
Yeah, because like I like to be fair with stuff. Yeah. So like if someone brings in a collection, I want to give them 50% of what it's worth, because like, I gotta make money too. And I thought like I wanted a 50% margin, sort of a thing.
Sure.
And most stores do not give you a 50% margin. So when someone brings in their collection, I really try and get them, if it's a decent amount of records, I really try and get them to let me have it overnight so that I can like really look through everything and get a good price.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then I have to be kind of conservative, sort of a thing. Like
Yeah.
I can do a quick check to make sure everything's in decent shape.
Sure.
But if they don't want to give me enough time to look at all the run out numbers on every single record and like make sure that nothing skips and find all the right pressings, blah blah blah, and this, that, the other thing.
Yeah.
Then I have to assume that it's like the least valuable version of it.
Yeah.
And I have to kind of go off that. And it sucks because some people are there and they're like, I want money like now in like 30 minutes sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay. And I like,
Yeah.
I was like, I can do this much. And then they leave and I start looking everything up actually. And then I gave them like not enough money. And I just, I feel so bad about it.
Yeah.
Like I want to go find them. Like I owe you more money. I don't know. So I really try my best to give people a fair price. And then when I sell stuff here, I try to make sure that it's, you know, it's fair. Like I said, if I'll look it up on a website called Discogs, and it gives you like it has every single pressing that's ever come out ever. It's a really sweet tool.
Yeah.
And it gives you like a value on each of those things.
Gotcha.
So I'll find the specific pressing, kind of gauge what condition it's in, find listings that have sold at that condition, and I come out to a decent price sort of a thing.
So where do you like source your records and your cassettes and the shirts and stuff like that?
So I get both new and used records. So the used stuff, I get the used stuff. Most of it is just people who walk in sort of a thing. They come in, like I have a bunch of records to sell. Sometimes if I can find a good deal, I'm on eBay all the time. Sometimes people don't know what they have. Sometimes people just really need the money, so they put it out for just like a really low price.
Gotcha.
Get stuff from there. Facebook Marketplace is sweet. Sometimes people will just be like, "Oh, I'm cleaning out my dad's house or whatever," and all these records. So I'll hit them up and be like, "Hey, I'll take all of it for this much something."
Gotcha.
But new stuff, just distributors. I go through like the AMS All Media Supply. They're pretty good, got decent prices, and they ship fast. And then I also buy from like independent record labels.
Okay.
Which is super easy. It's funny because like getting like really underground stuff is the easiest stuff to get a hold of because you'll just send the label a message on Instagram. They're like, yeah, we'll sell you wholesale, whatever you want, dude. Like they're just stoked that anybody wants it, sort of a thing.
Yeah, because you keep kind of not very like popular music also, like you said, like underground records and stuff like that too. So it's not just like you have a bunch of like AC/DC or
because I mean
popular bands you have
like the way I usually
very
describe
specific stuff.
The way I usually describe the store is like it's like a music and music memorabilia store that's like specializes in the underground but also carries like the classics, sort of a thing. So you can find your Led Zeppelin 4 here, but you can also find like Dark Throne and like bands like Grossum Kite and other like weirdo, like no one's ever heard of this band before, sort of a thing.
For sure. Yeah. It's super neat that you can like kind of balance that as well for the community, but like also for like the music community too. Like
for sure.
The ones that like you said, like this is the music I listen to, but I also like listening to it on a record.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean it. Like, how do I explain it? Especially like people who listen to like the underground stuff. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but the people who listen to like really obscure stuff, they want it physically.
Right.
And I'm not sure what the trend is. I think it's just people who are like really, really, really into music. Just like they don't just like listen to me like, hey, I like music, but it's like music like fanatics sort of
my
thing.
Life.
You know what I mean? Like they obsess over it, sort of a thing. And that's kind of the store I want to make a store for those type of people, sort of a thing. Not like I'll have stuff for the person who's just like looking to pick up the latest Taylor Swift record or whatever, but the store is really for like those people who like to dig and find like super obscure stuff.
Because you might not have, so I'm sorry if I'm misspeaking, but didn't you mention too, like you kind of wanted a store too where people can come out and like hang out as well?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because like, Line Drive, like Line Drive was super integral to this too. I mean, goodness, I went there every day after school. Like whenever he was open, I'd be there right after school until he kicked us out, sort of a thing. It's like, you guys got to leave. Okay, I got to do something. And like just having that was really cool too. Like again, that little sense of community, like that was basically a second home to me, sort of a thing.
Sure.
In fact, well, I got Line Drive's logo tattooed on my leg.
Okay.
Like it's second family, sort of a thing.
For sure.
And I would like to have that here. So like the venue, being able to have bands play, if like high school kids are getting their bands and booking shows there, kind of make that like hangout spot, talk about music, show people cool stuff. Like if an artist comes by, like let's say they have a tape, I'll put it on for people to listen to. Yeah. Like that's another thing. I want to have like listening parties for like local people. Okay. Like if local band like really gets the record recorded, like I'll put a thing up so everybody can come down, listen to the record, for sure, and stuff like that. Just have
like a little mini release party almost.
Yeah. Like just cool stuff like that.
For sure.
I mean, just have that like brotherhood sort of a thing.
Yeah, and that is big. What we're trying to do too is bring the community back together. But like you can do that through music. You can do that through sewing. You can do that, so it's just like it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can cultivate a community through like really anything.
Absolutely.
If you just like have that mindset.
Absolutely. Well, geez, like Panyan or whatever, she's got like a million different book clubs and like artists, authors come in for talks and sightings and readings. And I think they had an open mic night recently, didn't they?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
I thought they did. I might be wrong. But if they didn't, they should.
I wouldn't be surprised if they aren't doing one,
right?
If they haven't already done one.
Yeah, so I think they probably done poetry readings. It's like, I'm like, because that's what I want to be doing. I just my space at the moment isn't really conducive of that. Sure. So that's kind of where I want to go, sort of a thing.
And you're growing, and we'll put that out in the community right now. Is that like you are looking for a spot? And something recently might have came up, but that's not a for sure. So
we're hoping.
If anybody knows any place that could hold a venue and a record store, definitely want to keep it downtown and stuff like that. Sure. But it'd be dope. I think it'd be really cool when we can make that happen.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, people like my friends and like everybody is just like, man, we needed a venue here or something like that.
Right,
like
that's another thing to do, right? Like we talked about, like there's so many stores that you can go and spend your money, but there's not a lot of like places to go do stuff. And
right, exactly. Yeah, because like right now it's like you can eat food or you can buy stuff or you can like go out and drink or something like that. Right. But there's no like activity to be done, which is unfortunate. And I think that needs to be a thing for sure.
It would actually be pretty cool. I could see it right now. Like just like you have like just a wall where you can like go and like put a record on and like listen to the music and just like hang out drink some coffee or something,
Yeah, because
like hang out.
Yeah. Have you ever watched that 70s show?
Yeah.
So like they had like when kind of in the later episodes when Hyde is like running that record store or whatever, I think they have like a little like listening pit sort of a thing, and that would be cool. Like I might steal that idea.
Yeah, why not? Why reinvent the wheel when what is that saying? Why invent the wheel? Whatever.
I know what you.
I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like starting this business was just me like stealing stuff from everybody else who's made a successful business, sort of a thing. Yeah. Like don't feel like you gotta like come up with everything yourself. Look at what everybody else who's like made the successful business, look what they're doing, and then I mean obviously put your own spin on it. But
well, and you certainly have.
Yeah, so. Like put your own spin on it, but it's you don't gotta come up with something brand new, sort of a thing. Like there's a guy who huge inspiration to me. His name's AJ. He lives in like the Pittsburgh area of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And he started his own record store. He started out online only hardcore CDs and records, and that's it. And he like did that. It was super successful. He got a spot, but it was like in the basement of a lawyer's office or something like that. So he did that for a while, and then he got another spot. He was able to kind of grow a little bit. He had like a basement venue sort of a thing for like the local bands there. Yeah. And then after that, he bought like this huge like church complex where it's massive. This like tons of records. He has an upstairs venue for bigger bands. He has a downstairs venue for local bands. He just recently bought out a record store in Philly that was like one of the, like a lot of people said it was like the best record store in America.
Oh, wow.
Bought them out, bought all the
Yeah.
records, shipped them back to New Kensington, and he just announced he's opening a second record store a block away from his current one. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
But like I definitely like pay attention to what he's doing,
Sure.
because like he made it work, sort of a thing. So I'm trying to keep him in mind and really following his footsteps.
Right.
There's another guy who runs a record store in Salem, Ohio, State Street Records. He reached out to me, and it was just like, hey man, like I saw what you're doing. And he gave me like some really good advice, sort of a thing.
Cool.
So he's super integral.
Was that like through social media then?
Yeah,
He saw you doing your stuff?
Yeah, because we met once. I don't even know if he remembers, but he was a vocalist of a band that I saw that I really liked.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure when he started the record store, but I kind of know him through music,
Gotcha.
sort of. I'm not sure if AJ told him about me or what, but he reached out to me, and he's really, really cool. And every so often I'll ask him questions to see what I should or shouldn't do, sort of a thing. Because he also has like a really successful thing going on up there.
Hell yeah. And because I like your videos on like TikTok and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I get like record stores and stuff like that.
Yep.
And there's one out of like Columbus. I think it's like a kid's record store.
Used Kids.
Used Kids
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy's awesome. He's doing what I want to be doing.
Okay.
Like because like Columbus has a really big music scene or whatever.
Sure,
So like local artists will come down and just like, he'll sell their tapes at the thing. He'll like really support that. He'll have bands play. Just like people making zines or like whatever,
Gotcha.
Anything local he'll put in there. Like he makes sure he gets all the Ohio band stuff in there. It's it's really awesome. So he's definitely an inspiration too.
Yeah. And that's, something that if you're just like in business or you're self-employed, having some sort of like mentor or like someone that you look up to per se, and just kind of like following what they are doing and, grabbing those little bits that like make sense for you sort of thing and implementing them in your life and into your business and stuff like that. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. And I mean,
And it's so easy to do now with like social media.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my post ideas I took from AJ, like the vinyl flip through videos. I saw him doing. I'm like, that's cool. I'm gonna do that sort of a thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's an easy way to do that. Like the event ideas that people are doing. I'm just like, well, I'm gonna do that too. And so yeah, just for anyone looking to start a business, just do that. And it's a lot less difficult than you think it is. You just got to do it, sort of a thing.
Yeah, it's just kind of like that getting over like that mental block and just like actually just doing it. Like, if you just do it, you'd be surprised at what you can accomplish, sort of thing.
Yeah, because I have a few friends who are talking about like my buddy Steven, he's talking about doing this like power washing stuff, and he's just like, the equipment costs like $5,000, blah blah blah. And this like, well, how much money do you have saved up? And he's like, 8. I'm just like, you have enough money to do it then.
Yeah.
He's just like, I don't know. I'm just like, then you don't want it bad enough.
Right.
Then do it. Like do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Or you're gonna be working at wherever for the rest of your life, and you're gonna be like, man, I wish I did that. Like, just give it a shot at least. Yeah. Because even if it fails, then you tried, and you don't have to like have that regret in you anymore.
Right. When you're like 50 or something, and then you're like, we're getting ready to retire, and you're like, man, I really wish I would have started that business idea that I had back in my early 30s or 20s.
Especially if you're young too, because like that's really the time to start, sort of a thing, because you don't have quite as much responsibility yet. Like if you're if you're living at home, or like you don't have a family, you don't have a wife, you don't have like all the like house payment, all this stuff.
Sure.
Like the earlier you start, the better. Because like once you kind of get wrapped up in all of that, then it's like, well, then you have things you have to worry about first. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So it's way easier the sooner you start it.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing.
Doubt. Well, Jake, I think that's going to wrap up our podcast for today. I appreciate you, again coming on and telling us. Will you share at least your location currently, where you're at, and where people can find you, like on social media and stuff like that, real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am at 16 East Market Street. I'm right next to Red Raven, across from where Kier Speed Shop used to be. Okay. I have Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook and Instagram is just at Under the Surface Records, and then the TikTok one is at UTS Records. Okay. And that's everything I got so far.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, hopefully we'll see when the next shop hopefully opens up.
Yeah,
and maybe
hopefully.
we'll be able to come back and do another podcast with you.
Cool, that'd be awesome.
All right, for sure. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, you as well.
Take care. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Reconnect. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Jake Wheeler, owner of Under the Surface Records, and gained valuable insights into the world of a young entrepreneur. Until next time, keep forging your path ahead of discovery and success. Take care, everybody.